What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Winning Talk episode number 19. And today we got a good one. We got a lot of data, a lot of numbers. Now let's get straight to it. Why Argentina could become an economic powerhouse again. You know, and you'll find out in this video. So these are the articles we have for today. First, we got AP News. Under President Milei, the worst economic crisis in decades puts Argentine ingenuity to the test. And number two, we have how Javier Milei's shock therapy is transforming Argentina's economy. Number three, we have the BBC. Have Milei's first 6 months improved the Argentine economy? And the fourth one, we have CFR.org. How did Argentina's economy develop? So we're gonna see how the problem arose at the end and everything. But first, let's just go what is today, what's present, what's going on there right now. And I think that's more important. So the first one, we go straight to it, is from AP News. Under President Milei, the worst economic crisis in decades puts Argentine ingenuity to the test. Argentina is at a turning point, Milei said in his Independence Day speech on July 9th. Breaking points in the history of a nation are not moments of peace and tranquility, but moments of difficulty and conflict. Well-heeled Argentines have responded by stashing stacks of $100 bills in safe deposit boxes and resorting to cryptocurrency to avoid their country's chronically depreciating pesos. Middle-class families whose energy bills shot up the last month by 155% have pared down comforts they once took for granted. No more eating out, no more travel, no more private school. Public hospitals say they have been overwhelmed. To reverse the decades of reckless spending that brought Argentina infamy for defaulting on its debts, Milei scrapped hundreds of price controls. He slashed subsidies for electricity, fuel, and transportation, causing prices to skyrocket in a country that already had one of the world's highest inflation rates. He laid off over 70,000 public sector workers, cut pensions by 30%, and froze infrastructure projects, pushing the country deeper into recession. Supermarket sales fell 10% last month. The International Monetary Fund lowered its 2024 growth outlook for Argentina, projecting a 3.5% contraction. Poverty now afflicts a staggering 57% of Argentina's 47 million people, and annual inflation surpasses 270%, a level unseen in a generation. Bro, these numbers are crazy. The numbers that he has to deal with and try to fix are astronomically horrid. I don't even know what is a good word to define how bad Argentina's inflation rates are. It's so damn bad. They're just constantly taking loans, and not worried about the amount of money they need to make to pay those loans off. They're doing a lot of like these socialism programs, as you can see, like these subsidies that they were doing, trying to make people's lives easier, but without focusing how much money they're going to make profit, so they can be able to pay those loans off. And it looks like they just were too focused on those things, making people happy and not making money. This is from our second article, Forbes. How Javier Milei's shock therapy is transforming Argentina's economy. As an advocate of sound fiscal policy and a strong believer in the power of free market, I find Argentina's recent economic overhaul under President Javier Milei not just refreshing, but essential in today's world of bloated government spending. Keyword right there, bloated. Since taking office in December 2023, the libertarian leader has had to make some hard choices to stabilize Argentina's economy, which has long been beleaguered by high inflation and overspending. His shock therapy approach, deeply rooted in free market principles and fiscal restraint, to serve as a blueprint for other nations grappling with similar economic ailments, including the US. And there's other countries too, like Angola and Sri Lanka and Montenegro. You know, there's a few others that you guys can think of. Put them in the comments. Other countries you think that would fall under that same description. Milei's strategy hinges on two critical pillars: fiscal reform and monetary stabilization. By addressing the country's chronic overspending, his administration achieved a noteworthy milestone: a budget surplus in the first quarter, the first since 2008. So that's 16 years ago. That was the last time they had a budget surplus. That's pretty crazy. Tackling inflation. On the monetary front, Milei's government is working tirelessly to restore the balance sheet of Argentina's central bank. This includes reducing the large peso-dominated liabilities and increasing foreign assets. In a bold move, Milei's halved the number of ministries and eliminated 70,000 public sector jobs. He also suspended new public work contracts and removed various subsidies, further underscoring his commitment to reducing the state intervention in the economy. The early results of these efforts are promising. Argentina has seen a significant drop in the monthly inflation rate from a staggering 25% a month in December to 11% in March. Such outcomes not only bolster confidence among citizens and investors alike, but also demonstrate the efficacy of disciplined economic policies. And you'll see this is the chart, Argentina's inflation slowing after the deep spending cuts by Milei. You see when he entered office, and then it's just like a giant fall off. It's weird that it went straight up when he was running. That could be like the president before him was like, I don't know, mass spending, try to get favor or favorable opinion or something. I don't know what could have happened. I wasn't, paying attention. But that is wild that it went straight up. Well, like it's almost lower than September. It's going to where September was. But we'll see. Argentina tightens while U.S. continues to spend freely. While Argentina shows signs of fiscal tightening, the U.S. paints a contrasting picture with its out-of-control spending. The national debt continues to balloon, with liabilities now representing over 120% of the country's gross domestic product (GDP). The government now pays over $1 trillion a year just to service the interest on that debt. So basically, the U.S. just pays $1 trillion a year just on interest for the debts that you pay. That's pretty crazy. High-profile endorsements have rolled in 5 months since Milei took office. Following a meeting with the Argentine president in Los Angeles, Tesla CEO Elon Musk tweeted to his 182 million followers that he recommends investing in Argentina. Similarly, billionaire investor Stanley Druckenmiller, after listening to Milei's speech at Davos, described the president as the world's sole free market leader today and disclosed investment in 5 Argentine companies. That's very interesting. Billionaires are starting to say that's the new country to start spending money on, because they're at a low. If you look at it, they're at a very, very low. And if investors, if they know the inside scoop of like when a country's about to blow up, they'll put money in it, and once it blows up, they pull money out. But they're saying that it's at a very low, so buy low, sell high. So that's, I'm assuming, their strategy. If not, then kudos. And then from our third one, BBC, have Milei's first 6 months improve Argentina's economy? When Javier Milei was campaigning last year to become the president of Argentina, he brandished a chainsaw to symbolize his determination to substantially cut public spending, which he did do. Now, 6 months into his right-wing presidency, okay, he's clearly said he was a liberal, but how is his shock there before both the country, government, and economy working? The changes our country needs are drastic, Mr. Milei shortly after being elected. There is no room for gradualism. And he certainly took swift action. In his initial package, he devalued the Argentina currency, the peso, by 50%, cut the state subsidies by 50%. Like, he cut a lot of stuff. As you can see, the quick reduction in public spending has helped Argentina swing the fiscal deficit. The differences between the government spending and income of 2 trillion pesos, and in American dollars, it's $120 billion, and in euros, 93. In December of last year, to a surplus of 264 billion pesos in April. Argentina also reported a surplus in January, February, and March, marking the first time it had achieved this monthly target since 2012. However, Milei describes himself as a libertarian, has made cutting inflation his main priority, telling the BBC last year that it was the most regressive tax that most afflicts people. Inflation that slowed in April month on month rate fell to 8.8%, first time since October. Measures is closely followed in the countries like Argentina have long had inflation. Yet when it comes to the more globally recognized annual inflation rate, this hit 289% inflation in April. Dude, that's crazy. To put that into perspective, in the UK, the annual rate is currently just 2.3%. Guys, it's like, dude, this is why they needed something like Milei to just tear everything apart with the chainsaw, just cut everything. Because whatever they're doing is not going to be fixed for decades, if not a century. He needs to take drastic actions, like he was saying. Meanwhile, other pledges that Mr. Milei made while campaigning, such as replacing the peso with the US dollar and abolishing the central bank, have taken a back seat recently. That is one that made me super interested in what Milei was doing, because that would be a very good idea for their economy to rely on the American dollar, which the American dollar is one of the most consistent values in the world right now, like currency-wise. And there's tons of reasons why. The problem for President Milei is that his Libertad Avanza coalition, in English, Freedom Advances, does not command a majority in Argentine Congress, and it has found it hard to strike cross-party deals. Mr. Milei wants Congress to grant him the power to privatize more than 24 state-owned companies, including the state airline, the railways, the postal service, and the national water supplier. Yeah, like that's a really good idea. A lot of these things in America, we actually have a lot of these already privatized, so it would actually help a lot for them to do that. However, the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, which over the decades has lent more money to Argentina than any other country, gave the government high marks in May, saying that its performance was better than expected and that its economic program was firmly back on track. Argentina, the world's 8th largest country, has in fact been in decline for more than a century, its downfall serving as a cautionary tale of how the wealth of the nation can be frittered away. Now that you guys have like a better idea of what's going on present day, what's going on right now as we speak, now we can go back and find out how we got here. Doesn't matter what side they were voting for, it looks like both sides were just ruining their country. And this is when like politics becomes more important than reason, when politics becomes more important than common sense, when politics becomes more important than the economic outcome. Of a fourth article, Council on Foreign Relations, Argentina's struggle for stability. Argentina has struggled with political dysfunction and financial crises for decades. What could firebrand presidential Javier Milei mean for Argentina's economy and role in the world? That is actually very, very, very important of what the country of Argentina means to everybody, because Argentina is such a big power, and it's like the 6th or the 8th biggest landmass in the entire world, and it has so much potential to do more, just like it did in the late 1800s and early 1900s. How did Argentina's economy develop? Argentina has historically vacillated between periods of economic growth and crisis. Between 1860 and 1930, it became an economic powerhouse. In 1913, Argentina was one of the 10 wealthiest countries per capita in the world, ahead of France and Germany and Italy. But beginning in the 1930s, Argentina's economy began to deteriorate rapidly as unsustainable government spending and an over-reliance on commodity exports such as beef and wheat fueled frequent boom-bust cycles. The 1970s and the 1980s saw stagnating growing, rising debt, falling real incomes, and periods of hyperinflation. Some economists call this the Argentina paradox, by far the sharpest decline of formerly rich countries in history. Wow, man. What a phrase. In the 1990s, the government abandoned its previous state-led development model in favor of a series of market-friendly reforms. These opened the economy through trade liberalization, deregulation, and privatization. Officials also pegged the Argentine peso to the US dollar in an attempt to stabilize the economy. Ooh, they're trying to do that today. However, a devastating economic crisis followed in 2001 when Argentina could not maintain the peg and was unable to pay $95 billion worth of debt. Bro, $95 billion worth of debt in 2001? That's wild. The largest of 9 defaults in its history. It had 9 defaults? Dude, so many numbers in here. Wild. A 2005 restructuring only received the support of around 2/3 of Argentina's bondholders, leading to more than a decade of legal wrangling that blocked Argentina from borrowing from international markets. Bruh, you gotta pay that shit back, man. The upheaval of 2001 depression saw a revival of left-wing politics under Nestor Kirchner. I don't know, did I not pronounce that? A global commodities boom allowed the economy to recover and Argentina to repay its nearly $10 billion in debt to the International Monetary Fund, the IMF. The administration of Cristina Hernandez, the Kirchner, however, faced criticism for imposing price and export controls, nationalizing Argentina's largest energy company and the private pension system, and again ballooning the country's public debt. Again, like it's just like a cycle that they keep on going with this. Her successor, Mauricio Macri, 2015-2019, sought to improve a worsening economic situation by cutting exports taxes, lifting currency controls, and negotiating a debt settlement with holdout creditors, allowing Argentina to regain access to international markets. The resulting surge in international borrowing supported a brief recovery, but it could not be sustained. And in 2018, a run on the peso forced Macri to sign a $44 billion loan agreement with the IMF, the largest in the bank's history. A return to Peronist policies under Alberto Hernandez 2019-2023 saw increased taxes to try to plug the budget hole, and another restructuring of Argentina's bonds in 2020. And like you'll see here in this chart, Argentina is the IMF biggest debtor. Bro, look at this. This is February 2nd, 2024. Argentina is by far first. There's Egypt, because Egypt is building a new city, a new Cairo type of thing. They're building a new capital and everything, so they do need a lot of money. Is it like a $50 billion capital or something like that? It keeps ballooning. That's off topic. There's Ukraine. Whoa. Pakistan, Ecuador, Colombia, Angola. There's Angola, Kenya, South Africa, whatever. You see, you get the point. Man, that's crazy. I know Milei is trying to become a close friend of ours, and they're separating themselves from Brazil and separating themselves from China, but it's gonna be a long road. I know Colombia. Well, I heard Colombia. I didn't really look into this yet. It might be a video in the future, but I heard Colombia is also doing the exact same thing. They just ended their civil war, but they're doing the same thing. They're trying to increase relations with the United States and something like that. So this is what I got from after doing all this research when I was, making it for this research and this outline. When I was doing the research for this outline for this video, damn, that's a lot. This research is an eye-opening realization that government absolutism can kill any country, regardless of whether you lean right or left politically. It affects everyone equally. Venezuela is a great comparison. They chose socialism in governmental programs to make citizens' lives easier, but instead all they did was place training wheels on a motorcycle. It will end up destabilizing and crashing. Socialism kills industry competition, therefore less jobs are being created and entrepreneurship dies. So if you guys get anything from this video, what I want you guys to get out of it is entrepreneurship saves countries from stuff like this. The more you hinder entrepreneurs, the more you hinder private companies, the more you hinder the middle class, if you want to say, and stuff like that, kind of like what China's doing with their billionaires. Like China is losing more millionaires than any other country in the world, including Russia. And Russia right now is in a giant war with Ukraine. And the reason why they're leaving is because there's no freedom for those entrepreneurs to make companies. Because in China, if you create a company, it's big enough, China will force their government inside. By law, they have to incorporate that company into the state. And now you're not free. Now you can't do things freely. And if you make too much money, like the world's ex-richest man that was Chinese, he's gone. And you hear this a lot about Chinese billionaires. They're just disappearing. And it's very weird. If you make a lot of money in your country, I would assume you want to stay in your country. But if people are leaving, that's that's a red flag. And that's all I got for this video, guys. I'm sorry this one's long, but it was worth it. Please like this video, comment your thoughts down below. Any other countries you wanted me to do next, any other situations, any topics that we need to talk about. And that's like the point of this. Let me know. Share this video with your friends and family, and subscribe to the channel. Help us grow and have a bigger impact. This is your host, Jose, hitting escape. Peace.